Damn! Oh, let's break it. Damn! Damn! Oh, let's break it. Break it. Break it. Damn! Let's drop the beat. Beat. Let's get you healed up. Let's get you healed up. Healed up. Healed up. Yeah, let's move it, people. Let's move it, people. Yeah, let's pick it up. Lucio coming at you. Coming at you. Yeah, time to heal up. Oh, turn it up. Up. Turn it up. Turn it up. Turn it up in my headphones. My headphones. Turn it up in my headphones. Audio medic. Audio medic. Audio medic. Move to the beat. Boost. Oh, this is my jam. Time to accelerate. Alright, it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. F it up. Oh, I'm in the groove. Back in the mix. Check yourself. Oh, feel that healing beat. All right, heal up. Heal up. Heal up. Healing boost. Oh, I like the sound of that. Ooh, I must have this track on repeat. Repeat. Ooh, you hear that? You hear that? Oh, let's break it. Damn! Oh, let's break it. Damn! Damn! Oh, let's break it. Break it. Break it. Break it. Damn! Let's drop the beat. Beat. Let's get you healed up. Let's get you healed up. Healed up. Healed. Healed up. Yeah, let's move it, people. Let's move it, people. Yeah, let's pick it up. Lucio coming at you. Coming at you. Yeah, time to heal up. Oh, turn it up. Up. Turn it up. Turn it up. Turn it up in my headphones. my headphones. Turn it up in my headphones. Audio medic. Audio medic. Audio medic. Move to the beat. Boost. Oh, this is my jam. Time to accelerate. Alright, it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. F it up. Oh, I'm in the groove. Back in the mix. Check yourself. Oh, feel that healing beat.
And we are live once again, another episode of Off the Wall, powered by CGL Console Gaming League. It's your boy Dazzle167 once again, and I am here with the first female guest of the show. We have Itsakris over there. How you doing, Chris?
I'm good, Dazzle. How are you?
Good. All right, so we got a lot of questions. We got a lot to talk about today, but let's start off talking about some of your SR, because I like people to flex their SR at the beginning of the show. Talk about your peaks and your current SR, and you can talk about Xbox and PC as well, whichever floats your boat. So let us know what you're flexing at right now.
There's not really a whole lot to flex, to be totally honest. My peak is 4286, I think, which, I mean, in the grand scheme of things isn't too shabby, but I mean, compared to a bunch of my friends, compared to the top 500 leaderboard, it's still considered very, very low. Sure. And I'm okay with that. I'm honestly totally okay with that. I'm honored to even have a spot amongst the top 500 players in North America. And just putting it out there, I have never once said that I deserve it. It's really fucking cool that I do have a spot currently. Yeah. I'm probably not going to keep it, but just to, be up there with these people that are, obviously considered to be, top 500, like it's really cool. I started out playing on my own account season 3. Obviously, I was Mercy Lucio. I played with my boyfriend at the time and our roommate. I played with just some IRL friends. Just did it for fun. It was, something to do with my friends and my boyfriend at the time. And when my boyfriend at the time first got the game, he gave it to me on his account. He was like, "Here, play around with this. I think you'd really like it." Because I had come from Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed, Skyrim. I came from a lot of like RPG type stuff. Yeah. And so he was like, "Pick up this game, pick up Soldier 76. It's it's gonna be the most it's gonna be what you're used to, because we went from Modern Warfare 2 and 3 to Black Ops 1, 2, and 3. Yeah. And he was like, "Pick up Soldier 76. It's gonna be the easiest thing for you." I was like, "Bet." So I picked up Soldier 76. And it was ass. To this, I still can't. I can't. And obviously, come to find out, I have no thumbs. So aiming is not really my forte. Sure. And so knowing nothing about the game, knowing nothing about the hero pool, I put it down. And I was like, if he told me that this character was going to be what I was best at, and I suck ass at it, like, what's the point of buying it myself? So like, I played on, with him here and there. And then a friend of mine bought it for me for that following Christmas, the year that it came out, and started messing around with it more, and got picked up by my boyfriend and my roommate, and they're like, "Just play support for us. Like, we need a pocket, whatever." So yeah, that's how I started out being a support main, and why I spent 6 seasons in Diamond, because I started in season 3. Because I just played with my friends. I played for fun. didn't take it too seriously. You know, it was what it was. And then not gonna get into it, things didn't work out with that guy, and so I stopped playing with that whole friend group, and I started playing by myself. And I came across this one guy and one of my games who ended up being Ryder, and everybody who knows me knows who Ryder is. And so I got picked up by him, started playing with him and his friend group, and yeah, that's how I got out of Diamond finally. I just met the right people. And then my first friend that I ever made in top 500 was Calico, who was at the time my Slumber Salt. And he played in a lot of Mercy. And so he put me in custom games and quick play games, and taught me different settings, taught me the correct way to play support. And so I got a lot out of the people that I met, the people who took time out of their day to to help me improve, to basically reteach me the game. And so yeah, pretty much everything I owe to the friends that I made, because I mean, coming from where I came from, I didn't know shit about the game. I still really don't know shit about the game, let's be real.
Same.
But yeah, I guess I obviously I made the right friends who helped me out a lot. And yeah, and then 2 or 3 seasons ago, I got forced onto main tank one game, and I was terrified. And come to find out, it wasn't good, but it came kind of naturally, I guess, more naturally than anything else. So I made a Smurf, and I started learning main tank on Smurf. And yeah, and that pretty much brings us to where we are now.
Nice. Well, let's go. We're going to be talking about some of that, but I want to go way back before a little bit of that. Let's talk about your gaming origins. What did you start? I mean, you mentioned how you came from like games like Assassin's Creed and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But what was some of the first games you played, and what platform did you start playing on?
Wow. I started playing, I guess it would be the original PlayStation 1, and like the Game Boy Color, I think, came first. I was playing, the original Spyro, Crash Bash, and Crash Bandicoot, Pokemon Red, Pokemon Gold.
Nice.
And then I don't know how I wound up with Kingdom Hearts 1, but I did. Yeah. And just absolutely fell in love with that game. And then I found out, oh my God, there's a Kingdom Hearts 2, but it's only on PlayStation 2. So I'm like, all right, I gotta go out, gotta get a PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
And I stayed on PS2 until 2011 when Skyrim came out. And that's what sent me to Xbox. And yeah, so I ended up on Xbox. It's all thanks to Skyrim.
Nice. Well, hey, that's a good story. I mean, I think what's cool about Overwatch is that like it brings together a lot of people from different gaming backgrounds. Mm-hmm. you have your people who are FPS players who go in and they're immediately good at like hit scan players and stuff like that. But you have people who go in and played strategy games and role playing games and games that required a lot more like like thinking and strategizing and mm-hmm. stuff like that. And that also helps you in Overwatch as well, because that they're you do need that sort of skill in the game as well. So I think it's really cool that all those types of different backgrounds come in for that. Well, you mentioned how you mentioned all the different people that allowed you to get to where you are and stuff like that. So obviously that was the type of transition that got obviously like the type of transition where you started hanging out with high level players and you started mm-hmm. learning from them and stuff like that, and it eventually got you to where you are now. So do you think that is that something that you think a lot of people should be doing, and is that something that top 500 people or even GMs or master players should be doing with other players? Because I know a lot of people complain, especially high level players complain about diamond and below and stuff like that, or even masters and below. Mm-hmm. But I also don't think that a lot of them take the time to get to know some of those players and help them out. Do you think that's something that's worth doing? I mean, it looks like that's kind of how you got better at the game.
Yeah, and it's why I don't have the best reputation, is because a lot of people, and it's true to a certain extent, that I just, I met the right people and I talked to the right people, but I also learned a lot from the right people. And I think that the top 500 and GM community is very selective, or I don't know what's the word. It's very, I don't know what the right word is. Introverted, I guess. It's very selective. It's very kind of guarded.
Sure.
You know, obviously you have the OG players that everybody knows, like, oh, this person is, has, and always will be considered a top tier player.
Yeah.
And I think it's very, it seems a bit unwelcoming, I guess would be the right word for new players. Because, you know, I came in, I'm considered a season 10 kid, and then it was, you know, the season 11 and the season 12 kids.
Yeah.
And it's very, like, it's very unwelcoming of new people. And I don't know, I feel like, and I understand that. I definitely understand that. And it just doesn't leave much room for new people to come in. And so, say this new kid comes in and he's like the end all be all of, you know, Widowmakers. And it's like, oh, who the hell is this kid? You know, where did he come from? Like, oh, he's nobody. Okay, but, you know, he's still good at what he does. He's still good at the game. And I think that I do think that these higher tier players should just, you know, give other people a chance. You know, it's not, you know, just, you know, these are the only people that can possibly be good at the game, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that we need to, well, not we, but I think that, you know,
like a community, like we as in the community.
Yeah, exactly. I think that we as a community just need to, you know, open up a little bit. I think we need to, you know, if somebody asks us for tips, you know, ask us, you know, hey, what can I do to get better? It's, you know, it's not the end of the world. You know, you can take these people aside, you know, like Calico did for me. You know, he brought, like I said, he brought me into those custom games, and he, you know, put me on different settings. And he was like, this is going to really suck at first because it's something that you're not used to, but it'll make you better in the long run. And I don't, it was really nice to, you know, to be kind of absorbed by certain people, and, you know, to be taught, you know, a different way of doing things. And I wish more people were like that. I wish more people would be more, you know, open-armed and welcoming of new people. And, you know, if somebody asks you, what can I do better? Don't be like, you know, oh, just get good, you know, because it's a what's the word? It's a very arrogant way of looking at things. And, you know, that's not why we're here. It's not why we, you know, play video games.
Absolutely. And
yeah, I mean, we play to win, but, you know, you're also here to, you know, have a good time. It is something that we all have in common. It's something that we all enjoy. So, you know, why try to take that away from somebody?
Absolutely. I think it also helps, like, the ecosystem of the community, right? Because you complain, so many people, especially high tier players, you know, they'll complain about a lot of people in their elo, or even below their elo, where they get matched up against these people, and they'll complain about them, but they also won't do anything to, like, help out those people, you know, like, they'll just be dismissive and stuff like that. And, like, your story is very close to mine as well, because I feel like your story is, like, I had the same trajectory. And it's funny because as soon as I hit top 500 for like a second, I was top 500 for like less than half a second. And then, and I was like, hey guys, I made it to top 500. And then all of a sudden people were like, oh, who does this guy think he is?
Exactly.
I was like,
that happened to me too. Like, I've had a Twitter since, like, I don't know, 2009 or something. And I've been really good friends with Delirious since, I don't know, season 3 or 4. And, you know, I got on Twitter, and he Snapchatted me one day, and he's like, hey, I have a Twitter. And he's like, follow me. I was like, yeah, okay, I'll follow you. I followed Delir, and then all these other people popped up, and I was like, cool, like, I'll follow these people too. And then, I don't know, a season or 2 later, like, I found myself, you know, in GM, and I started getting all these shit posts by people I didn't even know. They're like, who the fuck is this person? I'm like, I don't know who any of you are. Like, what did I do? I just play the game. I was like, damn.
Yeah, I know, and it's funny
but
too.
Having been here for a few seasons, like, I kind of, like, I understand the mentality now. So, like, and admittedly, I'm one of those people where somebody pops up, I'm like, who the hell is that? You know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's funny because to me, and I feel like a lot of support players go through this too, because I feel like, you know, support players have to kind of, for the most part, they do have to rely on DPS to get things done, right? So when you're a support player, you know, the thing is always like, oh, they're getting boosted or they're getting carried or whatever the term they want to use is. And as opposed to like, listen, I'm just doing my job. Like I'm healing you. I'm doing my job. Like this is the role that I'm better at. But to a certain
extent, you have to.
Yeah,
you know, exactly. Because there's only, I mean, after the original Mercy rework where, you know, you can no longer res your entire freaking team, like, really, what impact can you have apart from keeping alive your teammates who may or may not do their job? You know, this Widow may or may not, you know, have a 40% crit accuracy. You know, this you know, Doomfist may or may not just spend the entire game walking off the map. There's no way of knowing. So unless you have somebody who you know for a fact is going to be able to keep up and is going to do their job, like as an Ana main, as a Mercy main, as, you know, God forbid a Brig main, as a, you know, as a Mercy main, like what can you possibly do to ensure that your team is going to, you know, kill them before they kill us, other than to try to keep them alive? I mean, and just because they're alive doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to do their job, you know?
Yeah, and it's funny because at a certain point, as a support player, it kind of feels like you're kind of like the parent of the group at the time, because it's like the bunch of little babies are running around and getting hurt, and you're like, no, don't move up, like, no, you're gonna get hurt, let's just stay back so I can, you know, support you.
And that's something else that I kind of wanted to put my 2 cents worth in with, is a lot of things that I've noticed, and I'm really guilty of this too, is support players don't communicate with their team as much as, say, you know, their DPS or their tanks, but like their callouts are just as, if not potentially more important than the rest of their team, because they have a different vantage point on everything. You know, their tanks are in the front lines, you know, DPS are God knows where. And, you know, you're there, you know, you have access to, you know, you can see, and before they came out with the update where you could see, you know, where all your teammates were, you could see everybody's health bars, you know, where they were at, what they were doing. I mean, it's not so much anymore, but like you're in a position to where you know where your entire team is, you know, how you're looking, you know, health wise, like, and you're kind of like the surveyor of the group. And I think we kind of fly under the radar because, you know, we're support, we're not, you know, in the front lines, we're not out there killing shit. And so I don't know, I feel like just as a whole, unless, you know, you're somebody like Tensa, you kind of just get looked over, and that's something that I try to promote, because there are a few specific people that come into my streams and they're like, hey, I'm, you know, this SR, what can I do better? And I say, you know, apart from mechanics, apart from, you know, your own personal gameplay, talk, make call outs, because like the first thing that I ask these people is, you know, are you in game chat, are you communicating with their team? And I'd say like 7 times out of 10 they're saying, no, I don't talk, I'm a support main, why do I need to talk? Because your input is important. You know where your team is. You know, what position you're in. You know whether or not you're in shape to push in, whether you need to fall back. That's your job. Not only are you, you know, trying to keep your team alive, but you have to keep track of them. So yeah, I don't know how to wrap that up, but
you're usually the first target as well too, because you know, once you go down, the team kind of has to just sustain themselves without any heals, and so you know that it's a really important part of being a support. And I actually learned this recently, right in the last maybe month or two, is the fact that as a support player, I also suffered from not being able to communicate enough. And it was because during my games, a lot of times, especially on ladder, people would just blame not healing. It'd be like, I'm not getting healed enough, you know? And it's like, well, that's because I died and you went into the fight. Like, what am I supposed to do? You know? So there's certain aspects of the game that people have tunnel vision for. And, you know, when you communicate as a support, you let people know that when things are happening and when they can do stuff. So it's definitely important. But let me ask you this, because I think this is also an aspect that we should talk about, and it also kind of rounds out the entire conversation that we've had so far. I feel like you're one of the more well-known female players in the Overwatch console community on Xbox and stuff like that, and I feel like out of you get a lot of criticism and stuff like that from the community. But how much do you think it's based off of people just basically because you're a female, or people, saying it based off, who you play with, why you play with them, or like, because I feel like there's a lot of it that just is because you're female. What is that perspective like as a female gamer playing in this game and being in this community?
I think I don't think it's arguable that males and females are treated vastly differently, not only in this community specifically or in this game specifically, but just in the video gaming world as a whole. And especially in a very competitive game and a very competitive and, like I said, selective tier, a very secluded community as Overwatch Top 500. I'm completely losing my train of thought right now. I think that there's a big difference in how we're treated, and that, if, let's say, there's a male tank and like a female support, if there's a bad main tank and it's a male, you're like, oh, that person is just bad. It's whatever, they're just not good at the game. But sure, if there's like a female and like paired with the fact of them playing support, oh, it's a female, like, of course they're going to be playing a Mercy. It's like that person only knows how to play Mercy. Or if they're at like a higher tier, oh, that's so-and-so, she's so boosted, blah, blah, blah. Like, whether you know anything about the person or not, whether you've played in a game with them or not, whether you know how they play, like whether you have any personal experience with that specific person or not, it's just inherently, this female's at a high tier. She just plays with good people. She's not good. She just has the right friend group. And that's something that at this point, it being season 15 and like me having been a part of this community since season 9 or 10 now, everybody kind of just already knows, for the most part, knows who I am, and have already formed their own opinions. And that just is what it is. There's nothing that you can do about that at this point. But I found that it's a really big reason why, I go to PC, and apart from sitting in a Discord call with people that I already know and people that I play with, and so it was somebody else who brought this to my attention because I didn't even notice that I did it. They're always telling me, talk more in game chat. But there have been not too many, but a few specific instances where like we'll load into a game and like I'll pick main tank or something, and I'll say something to my team, and every now and then somebody will go, oh, we have a female on the team who's not playing Mercy, oh, I'm throwing. And it's just like, really? Like, and to a certain extent I understand it, because at this point, having played this game for this long and admittedly not having really great experiences, I kind of am guilty of that too, where like I'll have, a female who picks DPS and starts talking, and like I don't say it out loud, but I like it's in the back of my mind, like, oh, there's a female on DPS, like I'm not really sure how this is gonna go. And I think everybody has a little bit of that in them.
But do you think that's inherent prejudice that people just have because of
no, I don't.
Culturally?
I don't think.
Do you think it's just a matter of like, no, there's just not that many players who are like that, that play DPS and are very good. Is it more like, of that?
Just being honest, like, let's be real. There's not a whole lot of female players who can pick up DPS and, be at a really high tier with it, who can, pop off and carry a game. And I think it's just, maybe it's inherent, maybe it's just like being, maybe it's the video game world as a whole, and just, being conditioned that females aren't good. Females are not as good as males, just like by birth, based on what's between their legs. They're not going to be as good as males. And like, to a certain extent, it's kind of true, but like, you don't got to say it, give us a chance,
But here's the thing too. I don't know if, I mean, there's part of me that feels like, okay, there's no way that, being a female just automatically dismisses you from being a good DPS. Like the part of me feels like, okay, but another part of me also feels like, okay, just statistically speaking, there's not that many female DPSs who play at
That's
that
exactly
high.
where I'm at with this right now.
I get it, but I want, like, it's sort of kind of like the who came first, like the chicken or the egg, like, is it because culturally females have been excluded from playing positions and games to that point where, I mean, not even me, like I'm older, and when I was growing up, when I was a teenager, I didn't see any girls playing video games, let alone anything that I played. So like, is it something that was culturally just starting up now? Like, is it something that, because it's newer, this generation is just kind of getting into it? Is it that, or is it just maybe, I don't know, they just don't have it in them?
And I've talked to a few friends of this because we've just had casual conversations about it a few times. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that males are just inherently and genetically a lot more competitive. And so when a male picks up a DPS, they generally have the mindset that, like, I want to win, I want to be the best, like, I want to be the best at what I do. And when a female picks up a game, I feel like for the most part aren't as competitive. They're not in it to, get to that top tier spot. They're in it to, have something to do, or, play with their friends. They're there to more so have fun. And I think that has a lot to do with it. It's just males just genetically being a lot more competitive.
Now, I think it also has to do with might also have to do with personality traits, because I feel like me personally, I don't like playing DPS, and the reason is not necessarily because I'm not good. I mean, that also is something, right? I'm not very good at DPS, but on top of that, I also feel like the way I like to play video games is I like strategizing. I like doing certain things. I like thinking man games where you have to think your way out of certain problems. And support and tank players are enabled to do that a lot more, because they're allowed to think about the game in aspects of, like, okay, when we engage, when we disengage, when I use this ult, and when, tracking and doing all these other things in the game that allow you to make that position a little more relevant, as opposed to DPS. It's like, I need to kill, I need to, know when to flee, just there's certain aspects of it where it's just super competitive, but they're not necessarily a wide view of the entire game. It's just basically just me going in and killing stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So I definitely think that that's part of it too, and that's why I play support, is because I like that aspect of the game. But I think culturally too, I think a lot of females like that aspect of it. I see a lot of women play support and tanks and stuff like that because they like that part of it. Do you think that's what it is too? Because you happen to also pick up Ryan as well, and I think Ryan is a perfect example of that, where Ryan is sort of like that center of the team, where like, okay, the group kind of has to surround me, and I have to do that strategy. Is that also part of it?
I mean, I'm kind of half and half. I like, sometimes I like being the shot caller. I like, because I've been playing this game since season 3. I like to think that for the most part, I might not mechanically know what I'm doing, but like as far as game sense, I'd like to think I have a good understanding of what's going on, which is why there are some games, say, First Point Nubani, or like First and Second Point Gibraltar, where like I know that dive is going to be the better option. So for those specific maps, I know for a fact that my dive tanks need a lot of work right now. And I've been playing on a lot of Smurfs and like working on dive tanks and off tanks and stuff like that. But if like I go on my main account on either PC or on Xbox and say like I get forced into playing a tank position, if it's a game where I can't pull out a Ryan or a Orisa, I'll like come in the team and be like, hey, look, like for this specific, like if somebody else wants to take a dive tank, like this is something that I personally am not good at. So if somebody else wants to take this, that would be ideal. Otherwise, if nobody wants to switch, like we can try dive tanks. It's not my best, but like we can try, or like we can just run Ryan Zarya because that's what I'm more comfortable with. And like on a personal level, that's what's gonna, work better for me. But like I like to have, these conversations with my team and figure out, who plays what best, what's our, best course of action. Not only based on, what each person on the team plays, but based on the map, based on the people that we're going against. And that comes in handy a lot, especially on my main account on Xbox, because I like to make friends with the community. I like to talk to people. I like to get to know people, and I like to be on good terms with everybody. So when I load into a lobby and I see, oh, this person or this team has this person on it, they're going to be running this character or this character. This person is really good, so like this is what we need to do to try to counteract that. And it's a lot more challenging going to PC because I've only been there for like a month and a half or 2 months. I don't know these people. I'm still working on my own mechanics. Yeah, especially on Xbox, definitely like being familiar with the community, being familiar with the play style of the platform. I like having these conversations with my team, and especially going to PC and playing main tank. I bring a lot of my experience from console over to PC because like I said, I've been playing this game for a long time. I like to think that I understand it, but yeah, as far as playing main tank goes, you kind of have a responsibility to kind of coordinate your team because at the end of the day, they kind of have to play around you. You're the main tank, and it's really challenging when you get into a game and nobody's there. You can't have these conversations. You can't make the call outs, and I think it's really underestimated the amount of communication that it takes to make it work.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about something that I think is kind of inherent in gaming and esports in general, because I feel like being a female gamer in this day and age is still very hard. Obviously, I think females have come a long way in gaming and esports, but the term e-girl has been thrown a lot out there in the community, right? And I feel like it's almost like if you're a female, you're an e-girl. Like it's almost like very inherent in just the way people have the vocabulary set for this game. Well, not just this game, but obviously a lot of different games. Now, as someone who has a daughter who is also in the community, when I hear that term, I cringe so hard because I just feel like if I hear anyone talk about my daughter that way, I'm like so mad. But like it almost seems like how do you try to deter people from being able to view you at that way? Obviously that's something that you can't control of everyone, mm-hmm. right? But how do you cope with that existing problem?
I think it's a term, it really depends on the situation in which it's used. It depends on the way that you use it. And I think that, on one hand, you're a female, you're on the internet. Technically speaking, everyone is an e-girl. Like it's yeah. You're a female on the internet. Like by definition, you are an e-girl. It's just like, there's a male on the internet. By definition, technically it's an e-boy. But like it comes down to the way that we use it. And generally the terms, e-boy, e-girl, they're used as a derogatory term. And, somebody says e-girl, you think, this person, this girl, generally underage, posting, revealing pictures of themselves either for attention or to like pick up. I feel like I'm going into one of those like true facts videos. Here we see the e-boy picking up the e-girl. Like, but it comes down to, it's a stereotype basically. And I'm just rattling off things that come to mind. It's a female. They're, posting pictures of themselves. They're not good at the game. They're playing with people that are a lot better than them. They're only picked up by these higher tier people because somebody has their Snapchat, because they're getting pictures from this person. And so all of these things just kind of come to mind whenever somebody throws around the term e-girl. And I mean, same thing goes for e-boy. You think, oh, this teenager who's on the internet trying to get a girlfriend, thirsty e-boy. Like there are all these stereotypes that surround these terms. And I was in a party the other day with I don't know if it was like Sporty and Ryder or somebody, but Leaf was there, and like we were talking about e-girls, and Leaf just goes like, well, Chris can't really be considered an e-girl. She fucking hates everybody. That's not true.
Yeah, no,
it's and like that kind of just proves a point that like there's kind of a stereotype that surrounds that, and I don't know, it's but like I said, it's just the way that we use it. It's a derogatory term when it comes down to it.
And I feel like it sucks because I think that some of the term itself, there are people who are deserving of that derogatory term, because undoubtedly there are females out there who, I've seen them. They don't care about certain games. They just go into it for attention. They're not, they like you said, they post revealing pictures and stuff like that, and they give a bad image to females who are actual gamers, right? I mean,
exactly.
I have, my wife also plays video games. She plays a lot of video games, and it's the same type of mentality where, if she streams, there'll be guys will be like, oh, blah blah, this and that, like, I want to see you, and it's always like some sort of, just assuming that they're that personality, right? But it doesn't.
And I mean that came up whenever I people started asking me to get a face cam, and I was like, I don't really want to get a face cam. Like, I don't want to be a cam girl streamer or whatever. So like just these stereotypes that surround oh, it's a female streamer. Because there are God knows how many female streamers that come out and with the push-up bras and like the see down their shirts, and these people who just. And it gives a stereotype for everybody who actually, wants to be, legitimately be a streamer. And like people come on your stream and they're just like, oh, why are you wearing a shirt? Like, why are you not showing cleavage? Like they're just, and it's like, on one hand, it's kind of funny because it's kind of true. But on the other hand, it's like, come on, like it's like not everybody is like this kind of deal. And it's what we were talking about earlier, where, females are kind of just coming into the like even on a pro level, the really well known like top tier female streamers, like these people are just kind of getting out there, and it's a stepping stone, and it's just going to take some time.
Yeah, I do think that it will come with time. I think that eventually, the player base will evolve to the point where there is going to be female players who play at the same level as everyone else, and it's going to be to the point. I mean, we're already seeing players who do that, and even though they are a minority of players, but there are players still out there that are doing that. I mean, and like I said, when I was a teenager, I couldn't find a female who played video games, which is why I was like, I don't know why all these guys on the internet are now disparaging all these women who play video games. You're lucky that there is one. Yeah,
isn't this exactly what you wanted in the first place?
Yeah, like back in the day, women would get upset if guys would play video games, and now that they're joining you, there's still quite a few that do. But now that there's a portion of that, of the females who actually like playing video games and will play with guys and stuff like that, now you're disparaging them? What?
Exactly.
Like, it's counterproductive in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So listen, let's talk about another aspect of your player, of the reality that you face a lot in a ranked games, and that's like a lot of the complaints that I see, especially when we first announced that you were going to be on the show. Twitter was like, how are you putting these people out, and why are you giving them a platform? Like all this other stuff. And a lot of it had to do with you queuing with people who blatantly MNK or have been known to be players who use mouse and keyboard. So let's have this conversation about mouse and keyboard. Let's talk about first, what is your overall opinion about mouse and keyboard on console?
I'm kind of on the fence about it. Like, on one hand, I mean, I have never met a person who uses M&K who will not be the first person to tell you, yes, it is cheating. I mean, at least the people that I associate myself with, the people that I play with, the people that I consider to be my good friends, there's not a single one of them that will not openly admit, yes, it's cheating. It's not like they're going around saying, well, oh, I'm just better than you. Like, there's not a person that I'm friends with anyway who will, go around bragging about their rank, bragging about, this and that. Because at the end of the day, they are using something that gives them an unfair advantage versus everybody else. And, like, I mean, on one hand, I do understand it, and I do think that it's unfair. But on the other hand, you look at top 500, and I'd say maybe 10-15% of top 500 is M&K, give or take roughly. I don't know. I'm an art degree. I don't do math, but
yeah.
So on one hand, it is unfair, but on the other hand, it's not something that is going to get any better. It's not something that Xbox is doing anything about. I mean, let's be honest. Xbox came out with a Microsoft brand mouse and keyboard. So that's kind of the defining factor of, I hate to say just get over it, but it's not as simple as just get over it. It's more like, what can you do? Like, instead of, moaning about it, complaining about it, bitching about it, it's not going to change. And it's unfair. And I mean, I'll be the first person to tell you that it's not fair. It gives you an advantage. But I mean, like I said earlier, one of the first people that I made really good friends with in top 500 was my Somersault. And so all of the M&Ks kind of band together. And so by meeting Somersault or Calico first, that was kind of just the group that I got absorbed by. Like, those are the people that I made really good friends with first. And everybody knows that I queue with Ryder, Zyhox Nova, / the account that he plays on this season the most is Nixlolix. And so if I come back to console, it's because, he texted me and said, hey, let's play. And I started playing with him season 9 or 10, 1 or 2 seasons before he started using mouse and keyboard. And so when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, if somebody's a really good friend of mine and they come and tell me, hey, I got an M&K, I'm not going to look at them and say, I'm not going to play with you anymore just because you use mouse and keyboard. Like, why would I do that? These people are people that I've been close to for a really long time. And I don't go out and actively seek, like, oh, you play mouse and keyboard, let's queue together. Like, it kind of just happens. And so the people that I'm friends with and the people that I do queue with a lot, we're very tight knit. So if Ryder and I are duo queuing and say Zim4 texts me and he's like, hey, you want to play? Like, of course, like, we love Zim4, like, let's get him in here. And there have been maybe 2 or 3 occasions where we just inadvertently, unintentionally wind up in like a 5-stack with 3 or 4 M&Ks, and we play 1 or 2 games, and then somebody is like, wow, this is really, really scummy.
Yeah.
Like, this is pretty bullshit. And then we kind of just disband. And then by that point, we've already got, the shit posts on Twitter and everything like that. And like, it's kind of funny because it never is intentional. Like,
sure,
we never have gotten on and been like, oh, let's get a 6-stack of 5 M&Ks. That'll be a fun time. Like, it's always just, it just happens. Like, I mean, like I said, all the M&Ks just kind of know each other, and, it's the group that I got absorbed by. And so, I mean, and Zim4 will be the first one that will leave the group because he feels like shit, because at this point, a lot of these people will pick up a controller and it's like, learning to write with your left hand. It's not what they're used to. It's foreign, basically. And it's just uncomfortable for them or whatever. And I mean, maybe that comes from obviously it comes from spending so long using mouse and keyboard, But I mean, at this point, they've been doing it for so long, they can't really switch back. I mean, just like somebody can't, pick up a mouse and keyboard and just automatically be good with it. And that was something that I struggled for a long time with on a PC, because I've been playing it for maybe 2 months now, and my left hand will sometimes just completely forget what it's doing. Like, oh, what did you pin in? Honestly, I didn't mean to press shift. It just happened.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny too, because I have the same problem as well with mouse and keyboard when I play PC, is that my left hand is just terrible. Mm-hmm. It's not good. It's
not good.
Yeah, it's not good. But now I after hearing, like how you develop, this relationship with some of these players who just happen to be MNK players, I absolutely understand it, because I think the reality for a lot of players is that, especially DPS players who go against you, or they feel like it's ethically wrong for MNK players to even play the game. I feel like they have this idea that, oh, this person is playing with MNKers because it gives them an unfair advantage, as opposed to like, well, why couldn't they just happen to be friends? And it just that was just a byproduct of them being friends and wanting to play together, is the fact that, I guess it does create an unfair advantage on ladder, but it's not something that you were set out to do. Because I had the same issue where I would play with somebody and that person was like, yeah, I am in K. I was like, oh, well, I mean, I'm still friends with you. I'll still queue
exactly.
with you.
I was queuing with somebody who was MNK. I don't remember who it was. And then we picked up somebody else who was also like a mutual friend of ours. And we played a few games and whatever. And then like he said something about my keyboard. And I was like, wait a second, you MNK? He was like, yeah, I am MNK. I was like, well, shit, now I'm in a 3-stack with 2 MNKs. And I didn't even know.
Yeah. And I think there's just like that automatic view. And it's funny, because it's funny you say that, because this is exactly what happened to me. The first time I touched top 500, I believe I was approached by Dexento, and he was like, listen, I'm getting on some Smurfs. I want to, I want to see if you wanted to play with us. And I was like, sure. Mm-hmm. And I just happened to stack with Dexento, Worth Shatter, Scary Dragons, and a few other people. Neon Blue Rain was another one. Mm-hmm. And we all stacked together and played goats. And it wasn't something that we set out to do. Well, I guess Dexento knew that he was doing it, but it wasn't like I asked to get carried, right? I just happened to be in a group with people that I wanted to play with, who happened to carry me up there. And so I think the idea of people were like, oh, he's just trying to gain a competitive edge against other people because he can't do it alone. And
but on the other hand, but then there are some nights, like the other night, when it was you, me, who else was it? Chrissy Leaf.
Yes.
And like we were in a 3-stack of just 3 support mains, and we were winning games.
Well,
or
more
like
because I feel like Chrissy Chan was in there. Well, I think Ryder too, right? I think Ryder was there.
I think so, point. Yeah.
So yeah, there was, exactly. There was.
Like there were some nights where I was, sitting on Xbox. I was watching Game of Thrones or something, and I was in a party with a shitload of people, and it was myself, Alicia, J-Doll, T Sporty, Mercy Health, and somebody else. I forget. Either way, we ended up in a 6-stack with 4 Mercy mains, a tank main, and a Hanzo main. At like 5 o'clock in the morning, we were 6-stacking with 4 or 5 Mercy mains, just like as a joke. We were actually winning games, and people were like, "Oh, these people are 6-stacking." Yeah, but we're also 5 Mercy mains. So I think that kind of like exemplifies the fact that like, these people stack, and they might gain a star from it, but like at the end of the day, these people are going to play with who they're friends with, whether or not they win. If they win, obviously, like it's kind of just a happy accident. But
absolutely, I mean, it was
we're
when
all
we
here
played
just
for
to play.
sure.
Yeah, but we didn't intend to like we're actually going to win games with this stack. Like we're a 3-stack of 3 support mains. Like what? How would we? Yeah. Why would we be winning games?
Absolutely, and it's funny too because like at the beginning of the show, my friend Neon Blue Rain, he put in chat, that I got boosted by Chris, which is not necessarily untrue. Obviously, we all played together, and I did get all the way back into Grandmasters with it, but it wasn't something that we set out to do. Like Chris, I need to get boosted. Can you help me out? Like
yeah, let's get a 3-stack of 3 support mains. We'll get you some games. We'll get some wins up in here.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, that's definitely part of it. I want to, before we continue on, I want to show everybody, because we'll talk about your stream and stuff like that as well. I want to show everybody a clip of your stream if you haven't seen it before yet. This clip in particular is one that was featured in Fresh Nuts, right? So we're gonna check this out. I actually watched this before I spoke to you. I remember it was in my Discord a while back when it actually was part of Fresh Nuts, and I saw it. I was like, that's funny. So let's check this out. Clip. Here we go.
Lucky. Good thing is they don't have a shield. I think it's really
So yeah, that
God.
definitely learning Ryan at that point.
that was like the first season that I had picked up Ryan, and for some reason it didn't click in my head. Hey, there's an ulting hog. If I swing my hammer at him, he's gonna send my ass flying over to freaking Gibraltar.
Yeah, no.
And I just happened to be streaming at the time, and the next morning I had like 6 people like message me on Twitter, they messaged me on Snapchat. I had people I hadn't talked to since high school like message me on Facebook.
Wow.
Being like, hey, you're on Fresh Nuts. I'm like, what?
That's awesome. That's really cool though. Was it something that I feel like you're also a streamer that has become really popular in the community as well? Was that something that was just out of, a byproduct of you just trying to stream more and stuff like that? Or did you set out to do that as a streamer? You were like, I'm going to start streaming more. I'm going to try to get a little more popular and stuff like that. What was
Not
the idea
especially. I don't remember what it was, but I made a Twitch account years ago, and I'd never really used it. Like, it kind of just sat there, and I'd streamed a few times, like, just kind of here and there, got like maybe 1 or 2 viewers, and so I was like, who wants to watch a support main? Like, that's just, like, I wouldn't watch a support main, like, that's just boring. And so, I don't know, people kind of just started messaging me and be like, hey, you should stream. And I was like, why would I stream? And so, like, I kind of just brushed it off, and so I just started thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? Why not? Like, what am I going to lose from streaming? So, like, I kind of just started, and I don't even really know, like, how it started not blowing up, because it's not blown up. I mean, it's a, for somebody who's just started streaming a few months ago, it's pretty good. Yeah. But for somebody who, like, just started out, I couldn't tell you why. Like, I don't know why. I'm not the best player out there. I play support on console, and I shit the bed on Ryan on PC, and I don't know. But there are a few specific people who have really helped me out, not only as far as like setting up my stream and helping me with different settings and the hardware and stuff like that. The few people that if I've had, words are hard right now. I'm trying to say too many words at once. If there are a few specific people that I wanted to shout out and like just like publicly say thank you for, it would be Loudmuch, Blood Dust, Scary Dragons, and Leaf are probably the 4 people who have gone out of their way to help me out the most as far as stream settings. And Gary and EU sold me his Elgato, and Leaf really helped me out a lot with PC settings, and Loudmuch and Blood Dust helped me out with settings and helping me decide setting up Streamlabs and deciding on webcams and mics and everything. So I think as far as streaming goes, it's a very small community of console streamers. And for the most part, I mean, everybody kind of helps each other out. I have these people that like I host. I have a host list, and every now and then I get really lucky and I get hosted by Loud Much or Blood Dust, or God forbid, I don't want to like tell the whole story, but I ended up meeting Anger, the pro CS:GO player on PC, and like we got to be friends. And he randomly hosted me one day for like 200 people, like 200 wow. PC viewers. That's and so awesome. All these like PC CS:GO kids came on my stream like, Anger, what the fuck? What are you hosting a console like girl for? And, and so he messaged me separately. He was like, my stream chat was so confused. And I was like, that's fucking hilarious. But yeah, it's these people kind of just band together. And last week we got together and did a you were there. We did the streamer family fun night with Monopoly. Yeah. And everybody was streaming, and it was just all the console streamers just hanging out. It was fun. It was a fun time.
That was fun. I remember you not being able to roll more than a 5.
You are gonna leave that alone. Because at the end of the day, it was a 6-way tie, and Scary Dragons can fight me if he wants to dispute that.
I can attest to that. It definitely was a 6-way tie. The game did not finish, therefore it was a tie for everyone.
6-way tie.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, listen, I also want to talk about, speaking of streams and streamers, I also want to ask you about a particular Mixer streamer, right? By the name of Corrupted Host, which, by the way, we have quite a few people in chat. So if I know there's probably quite a few of you that remember this incident. I was looking from the outside from this from this perspective, so I don't know exactly what went down. For it, I do know that like when it was happening, I happened to go check him out, and I was like, hey, why don't I have him on the show? Maybe he'll talk to me about, his side and everything. And he was like, I'm not gonna get on your show. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. So tell us a little bit about that incident with Corrupted Host. What happened?
I'll try to abridge this as much as possible. He followed me on Twitter one day. I didn't know who he was. I just saw that he was, he was on console. He played Overwatch. I followed him back. It was whatever. Once a week or so, he would go through my Twitter and like 30 or 40 posts at a time and like never say anything. I was like, all right, so it's a little bit weird, but all right, you do you.
Yeah, you hear that, Plums? Yeah, you hear that? All right, just checking.
You don't mess with Plums, all right? Leave Plums alone. But, what was it? It was, I mentioned my friend Zim4. His name is his name is very literally, I'm using a Zim4. Yeah. So he posted that he had broken like 4,400, I think it was, on Twitter. Mm-hmm. And everybody was like, yeah, dude, that's cool. Because Zim is, he's MNK and people have problems with that. But Zim is super chill. He, like, everybody loves Zim. He did the Chipotle thing and like kind of was, I got you with the Chipotle, so like we're good, right? Yeah. But everybody loves him. And so he posted something on Twitter and like he had broken his season high or whatever. And so for some unknown reason, Corrupted Host came on his post and was just like absolutely railing him like, oh, you MNK, you're such a cheater. Like, you shouldn't be proud of anything that you do ever. Like, you're a piece of shit, yada, yada. And so, like, so it would have been fine if he would have just been like, yeah, but you MNK. But it was just like the way that he said it, like just the fact that he came at my friend that hard, it really rubbed me the wrong way. And so like I'm like sassed him back or something, and it turned into this whole argument. And somebody started sending me clips of like, oh, he's talking shit about console and, stuff like that. He's talking shit about all these people on Twitter, he's talking shit about the GM community or whatever. And so like out of curiosity, I went to his stream and just like, I would watch his stream for like 10 minutes and it was just 10 straight minutes of him bitching and complaining about Blood Dust. He was complaining about console. He was complaining about top 500 as a whole. He was saying stuff like, oh, you guys just have fun in your Xbox. I'll go back and like play my top 500 PC games or whatever. and then proceeds to go through his career profile on Xbox, and it was like a 3,600 peak or something. And so like at this point, like I was irritated and I was fed up with him and I was pissed off with him. And so I had just made the meme video of me versing Loudmuch on Dorado. And so people started sending me these clips and being like, you should do one of Corrupted Host. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Why not? And so I just like 5 minutes, I put this little like stupid compilation together and posted it, and it blew up a lot more than I intended it to.
You know, and speaking of the clip, let's check it out now because I feel like that clip is definitely worthy of checking out. But mind you, I will give a warning, fair warning to everyone.
Volume warning for this.
It's a volume warning. I'm gonna try to keep it at a nice little level before I do it. But let's check this clip out of Corrupted Host.
I'm already gonna tell Xbox about all you Overwatch trolls cheating with mouse and keyboard. So, you wanna push me? Go back to playing Overwatch on your Xbox while I play on PC and play in my top 500 games. I started in Platinum, then Gold in the beginning, and then I got into Diamond Season 8, and then I got into Diamond Season 9 again, and Season 10 to 11, you see that all of it was so easy. Now I just play Lucio. It was so easy.
All right, so okay. Now listen, I think everybody who knows me knows that I'm not really mean to anyone in particular, right? I think I have had certain beef with people and stuff like that. But like it seems like this person has an idea of how things should be and is kind of not looking at themselves for a little bit, right? I mean, I think that there's some sort of like I don't know how to say it. Just
I feel bad because people kind of took that and ran with it, and they started like making things really personal, like attacking him personally, and I felt like I kind of unintentionally instigated that, and things kind of just got out of control for a while there, and maybe two weeks ago or so, he actually came into my Twitch and he messaged me on Twitter, and like he apologized for talking shit about my friends, and like I apologized for, you know, making a meme video of him that wasn't necessarily meant to be mean or cruel or anything. It was more so just to call out the fact that, you know, this guy claims that he has like multiple accounts in top 500 on PC, and he claims that he's on top 500 on console and everything, but like goes through his it came down to like me just wanting to like call him out for like, you say, you know, you're top 500 or whatever, but you just went through your career profile and have like a 36 or 3700 peak abusing Brig before she got nerfed. So like it wasn't like a personal attack. It was like a like, you're lying and I know, basically. And so like whenever people took that and started, you know, making personal attacks, I felt really bad about it. And so yeah, he came to me and apologized, and like we were cool until maybe 3 or 4 days ago. He showed up in my Twitch chat again, and I was on console and I got into a game with Blood Dust, and like the whole time he was talking shit about Blood Dust, like say, oh, Blood is so washed, like Chris, you need to carry him, like you can carry Blood Dust. I'm like, first of all,
talk about delusional.
First of all, I'm playing Mercy. What? Anyway, so like he'll come in my chat every now and then, and I kind of just like the first time he came in my chat like was the most active my chat has ever been, ever. Like because people saw that he was in my chat, and so everybody kind of flocked to stream and started, you know, talking to him in my chat. And so instead of like timing out or banning the, you know, 30 people that were watching or whatever, like my mods just decided to time him out instead. Because I mean, it's easier to take out the source than to, you know, try to clean up everybody else. So so then he messaged me on Twitter a few days ago and like, hey, you blocked me in your chat again. And I was like, yeah, dude, this is what happened or whatever. And so I unblocked him again. And the first night that he's in my stream chat, I go with Blood Dust in my game, and he starts all that shit up again. So I'm like, okay, clearly this is not going to change. So like I don't like being on bad terms with anybody. I don't like arguing with anybody. I don't like having bad blood with anybody. But just somebody who exactly. But just somebody who is just constantly like looking for a reason to fight, like coming into my stream and talking shit about people like he knows that I'm friends with, like come on.
Yeah, but here's what I think is also part of it is I also think that there's a disconnect that happens when because I'm gonna be honest, I don't think that he's really part of the community, right? I don't think
I know, I agree with you.
I mean, I'm relatively new to the community itself, but you know, I kind of like just sit back and watch and learn and listen and stuff like that. And I think he came in kind of abruptly, like, oh, this person's watching, this person's like, if I'm new to the scene, I'm not talking shit about anybody, you know, like I wouldn't. Obviously, I'm here to like, you know, just kind of gain some perspective. And I think it's just his idea is just so disconnected from the community itself that he just has these his own ideas, and it's not like the common knowledge. You know, obviously people who know Blood Dust and have seen him play and stuff like that will know that he's a great player. He's a good streamer, and you know he's a friendly person to a lot of people. So, you know, I think that's also part of it. So you know. Well, it's funny. It's definitely funny to see for sure. Well, listen, I think that's kind of it. I know I had some other questions, but I think we touched on almost all the topics that we could definitely touch upon. Is there anything that you are looking forward to doing in your stream, like just in general? Because I know you know, obviously now that you got the webcam and you started doing face cam and stuff on your stream, is there anything more that you plan to do with your stream to kind of make it grow?
I mean, for the most part, I get the most viewers and I get the most active chat when I'm playing console Overwatch. I mean, just because, you know, that's where everybody kind of knows each other. Everybody, like, I get into a game and people always ask me, oh, are you streaming? No, you're not streaming. Why are you not streaming? Or like, oh, you're streaming. Hi, chat. Like, you know, everybody everybody knows everybody. And so when I go to PC, I've met a lot of really nice people there. I've run into some top tier players on Smurfs and end up making friends with them. And like, they stream too. So like, we'll host each other and stuff like that. And so like, I'm trying to get to be a little bit more active in the PC world. And a lot of people have said that I should branch out, play different games. And so this weekend, probably tomorrow, I got roped into downloading Doki Doki. I have no idea what it is. I know a lot of people are hyped about it for some reason. And so, yeah, I think tomorrow I'm going to try to get some people together and stream Doki Doki.
Nice.
And I mean, yeah, now I've got the webcam up and yeah, kind of just gonna keep doing what I've been doing, you know, switching back and forth between PC and console, just depending on the day, depending on the mood. And yeah.
Absolutely. Well, listen, at the end of the show, we usually try to host another console streamer or just a streamer in general that, you know, that's part of the community. We'll be doing that here shortly as well. Before we do that, I would like to remind everybody at the end of the show all the time, because every time I pick somebody who either people don't like or don't agree with being on the show, or for whatever reason, people are like, "Oh, you picked that person or this person?" You know, I always get comments like, "What are you? You don't have anybody left? What's going on?" I always tell everybody at the end of the show, this is a community podcast, right? So if you're part of the community, if you have something to say, if you want to talk about something, let me know. Message me. I'm very open. You can just message me and let me know that you want to be on the show, and I'll try to fit you in as much as possible. So definitely, you know, let me know, because I do feel like that is something that people don't do often. You know, there's tons of people who are always talking about like, oh, you should have this person on your show and this person. It was like, well, I don't know if they want to be on the show. They haven't contacted me. So, you know, and I try to reach out as well, but I can't reach out to everybody. So make sure that you definitely let people know, you know, that if they want to be on the show. Chris, if people don't know your social media or your Twitch, let them know. Where can they see you?
My Twitch is twitch.tv/Itsakris, one word, and my Twitter is at its_a_Chris, just Itsakris instead of spaces or underscores. Can you stop trying to knock over my ring divider?
Yeah, dog. We're trying to have an interview here. Oh, I'm sorry.
He's sassing you now.
I see that.
It's about dinner time for them, so they're getting kind of restless.
Gotcha. Well, perfect. Definitely catch Chris out there in Twitch. Definitely doing some fun stuff. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Actually, I might just pass by the stream just to check it out and see what it's all about.
I know Leaf in particular is really excited about it, which kind of concerns me a little bit. But
yes, that should be concerning. Absolutely. Well, listen, it's been awesome having you on the show. I'm glad you stopped by and were able to get interviewed and stuff like that. Everybody, I'm going to start rating. Catspeak suggested me rate Super Blast, so I am probably going to do that. I'll probably just rate Super Blast. If you are in the chat, make sure you stay in the chat. Let them know that you came from Off the Wall. Give some love to some of the streamers that we're going to be rating, and then we'll let them know that you came from the show and you're hyped up to see them as well. So we'll be doing that. Guys, this has been Dazzle167, and it's a Chris over here, Off the Wall. I will see you all next week, and keep it real. Bye, everybody.
All right, it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. F it up. Oh, I'm in the groove. Back in the mix. Check yourself. Oh, feel that healing beat. All right, heal up. Heal up. Heal up. Healing boost. Oh, I like the sound of that. Ooh, I must have this track on repeat. Repeat. Oh, you hear that? You hear that? Oh, let's break it down. Oh, let's break it down. Oh, let's break it. Break it. Break it down. Let's drop the beat. Let's get you healed up. Let's get you healed up. Healed up. Yeah. Healed up. Yeah. Let's move it, people. Yeah. Let's move it, people. Yeah, let's pick it up. Lucio coming at you. Coming at you. Yeah, time to heal up. Oh, turn it up. Turn it up. Turn it up. Turn it up in my headphones. My headphones. Turn it up in my headphones. Audio medic. Audio medic. Audio medic. the beat. Boost. Boost. Oh, this is my jam. Time to accelerate. All right, it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. F it up. Oh, I'm in the groove. Back in the mix. Check yourself. Oh, feel that healing beat. All right, heal up. Heal up. Heal up. Heal up. Healing boost. Oh, I like the sound of that. Ooh, I must have this track on repeat. Repeat. Oh, you hear that? You hear that? Oh, let's break it down. Oh, let's break it down. Oh, let's break it. Break it. Break it down. Let's drop the beat. Beat. Let's get you healed up. Let's get you healed up. Healed up. Yeah. Healed up. Yeah. Let's move it, people. Yeah. Let's move it, people. Yeah, let's pick it up. Lucio coming at you. Coming at you.